So next is how companies use Microsoft Azure. Like no two business use Azure in the same way. So determining how best to use it in your organization depends on the specific needs of your company. Now that you have learned about the Microsoft Azure basics, you may be wondering how do you decide what business functions to shift to Azure? When is the right time to make the move? What are my options in terms of Azure services? So Azure provides three types of services: infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service. We will see the infrastructure as a service. The most basic set of services rapidly gaining popularity is the information as a service cloud computing model. Let's compare infrastructure as a service to traditional on-premises data centers. With on-premises, it's your responsibility to manage every component of the data center, from business applications to virtual machines and networking. By using Azure infrastructure as a service, you are essentially putting data on a server in the cloud that you can fully control. Maintaining the physical hardware becomes a non-issue because Microsoft takes care of the servers for you. You don't have to worry about the expenses associated with failing hard drives and hardware maintenance. What you will have to do is monitor, manage, and patch your virtual machines and their operating functions. So it's still a very hands-on arrangement. In summary, IaaS is the cloud service model that feels like a typical on-premises setup while giving you freedom for running applications you want. So in on-premises, you will have applications, data, runtime, middleware, operating systems, virtualization, servers, storage, networking, everything on your own. So when we have applications, data, runtime, middleware, operating system, virtualization, servers, storage, and networking on premises. So we can manage all those things. But out of these things, the applications, data, runtime, middleware, and operating system, we can have on premises. The remaining things like virtualization, servers, storage, and networking, these can be provided by the infrastructure as the service. Then if you go to platform as the service, then even runtime, middleware, and operating system. So these will come under the platform as a service. So we are managing only application and data on premise. Then if you also go to software as a service, then all these things, all these components, applications, data will be covered in the software as a service. Then runtime, middleware, and operating system will be covered in the
platform as a service, and virtualization, servers, storage, and networking. These will be covered in the infrastructure as a service. All right. So, what is platform as a service now? So, platform as a service is the next step in cloud service models. It's the platform on which you roll out your applications. While using platform as a service,
Your responsibility is to manage specific applications and the database, while Microsoft takes care of all other services required to run your application, including the middleware, operating system, virtual machines, servers, storage, and networking. Therefore, responsibility for the success of your application is shared between your organization and Microsoft, with both parties delivering the key elements. A move to platform as a service lets you devote more time to develop your application rather than maintaining the operational functions that support it. Most companies that use platform as a service do so because they are interested in flipping a traditional monolithic and console based application. Example, those that run in a separate console window rather than in a browser like Word or Outlook to a web based application. But whether or not you decide to make the move to PaaS, you will have to consider the required investment. Depending on the size and complexity of your application, this change may require employing a development team to handle the conversion. Next, we will see software as a service. A SaaS arrangement with Azure handles all infrastructure and IT functions, leaving your SaaS application to run in the cloud on top of Azure. It's not a platform, it's an actual application in itself. Think Microsoft 365, Salesforce, Basecamp, etc. Everything underneath the application is automated. Your company might consider moving PaaS to SaaS if you want to be almost completely hands off. A transition to SaaS may be ideal if your application is highly automated and accessible over the internet and does not have any lingering dependencies on a specific underlying operating system or a particular type of middleware. For example, if your application relies on an older operating system that is not supported in Azure, a more complex level of development is required to make the transition from PaaS to SaaS successful. Transitioning between the cloud levels. Moving from one cloud level to the next takes time and resources. So there is no single defining scenario or event that dictates a move from one cloud level to the next. This decision revolves around understanding your application needs. So, some things to consider when it comes to determining what's right for you, like, do you have governance over your data? Are there certain compliances you must meet in relation to your data? Are you more interested in devoting time to building software rather than servers? Do you need to customize the underlying hardware or software for your application? What is the size of your IT staff? Are you a startup or a small company with a short development timeline? Keep in mind that services can be mixed and matched. That's part of the beauty of Azure. You can convert your workloads slowly over time so that some remain infrastructure as a service applications, while others advance to PaaS. For example, each company's approach to the cloud is unique. It's important to note that the farther you go up the cloud level, the more automation is involved, which leaves your applications less prone to human error. If you have an infrastructure as a service application, but you're not keeping with operating system patches, the application will break down sooner or later, or will end up having security issues. If, on the other hand, Microsoft is in charge of patching, it will happen automatically, leaving less room for errors. Now that we have understood the basics of Azure, we will see some highlights of Azure and have a peek into how Azure can help you make the transition successfully. So once you start using Azure, there are some best practices you should follow to ensure you get the full benefit of the platform. To make the most of your investment, consider how you will handle all the Microsoft Azure fundamentals before you make your application transition to the cloud. So the first factor is data migration. You are more likely to have successful migrations if you truly understand the in and out of your business applications, as well as what Azure has to offer. Some applications can be easily rebuilt in the cloud rather than transitioned, like those that indirectly support front end services and hold no actual data. For example, you may waste time and resources moving an existing firewall over to an Azure infrastructure as a service when it would have been more helpful to use a firewall platform as a service from Azure Marketplace. Becoming familiar with available options will make your job easier and will ultimately save you time in the long run. Then we have cloud access management. Administrators need access to your Azure resources, but some form of gatekeeping is necessary for data protection. And with many experts now calling traditional one factor authentication unworthy, a stronger level of protection is needed. Azure's multi-factor authentication is Microsoft's two-step verification solution. It requires two or more of the following verification methods from the users requesting access. Something you know, something you have, and something you are. So, something you know can be a password, something you have can be a phone, or something you are, like a fingerprint. We recommend enabling this feature in Azure to manage access to your application. We have resource management. Microsoft defines a resource as a manageable item that is available through Azure, a virtual machine, database, and virtual network. It's important to keep track of all your resources by giving them defining parameters. To do that, take advantage of Azure Resource Manager. It gives you the tools you will need to help track and manage your resources. For example, Resource Manager provides the ability to create resource groups. Think of them as containers that hold related resources for your different Azure solutions. Whether they are infrastructure as a service, PaaS, or SaaS. Resource groups are arranged so you can easily monitor, control access, and manage billing in combination with one another. Most applications are made up of many resources, each providing full visibility. Then we have cloud security. Security should be a top priority for your business, and you need a strategy in place before you make the transition to the cloud. While cloud platforms like Azure and AWS secure their physical data centers and server hardware by offering the tools like Azure's Security Center to assist you in protecting your workloads. It's up to you to keep your virtual machines and applications going. Acronis Smart Firewall for Azure provides even more comprehensive security coverage that's easier to manage. This intuitive application consolidates firewall rule configuration, logging, and billing into a single console without using the Azure portal. In fact, the process of creating and applying firewall rules with Acronis is up to 5 times faster than with other security solutions. Using the firewall in combination with Acronis helps you meet security compliance mandates by utilizing log retention and analysis. You can do more research on this concept of Acronis. So finally, Microsoft Azure has been experiencing exponential growth and will continue to develop new features and services. If you are looking to join the legions of business already using Microsoft Azure, hope this session was helpful. As a leading Microsoft Cloud Solutions provider, Acronis can help your business succeed with Azure. Our management and security software is powerful and easy to use. It was designed specifically to give the IT and virtualization teams a simple way to administer, secure, and monitor cloud resources.